Does Deku really have to kill Tomura Shigaraki? Is One for All living up to its purpose, or was it doomed from the start? And what exactly is going on with the second and third user? Let's find all of this out and more in the newest chapter of My Hero Academia. So My Hero Academia chapter 305 is finally out. And with it comes the continuation on Deku's long-awaited talk with One for All's previous users. That's right, there's no cutting away from the plot this time. In this chapter, we learn a bit more about why Nana Shimura told Deku to put an end to her grandson's life. We learn about the previous users' opinions on the destiny of One for All, and we get our first glimpse at the inner conflict taking place between One for All's previous users. Oh baby, is this a chapter! But before I begin talking about this chapter, I'm first going to go into a quick summary of what happened last time. In the last chapter, we got a deep dive right into the very essence of the quirk One for All, where Deku had a well-needed conversation with the previous users of the quirk. They talked about One for All's exponentially growing power, the Vestige's new ability to communicate freely with Deku and each other, and the mysterious fourth user who was finally introduced to us as the lovable cinnamon roll, Shinomori Hagake. I mean, come on, look at this guy, he's so innocent and adorable. Shinomori informs Deku about the 18 years he spent honing One for All's power, and his untimely death due to his possession of the quirk. It's revealed that One for All's power becomes too much to handle for any non-quirkless person, resulting in them suffering a premature death. Basically, if you have a quirk and inherit One for All, it will eventually kill you. But if you're quirkless and inherit One for All, it's all gravy, baby. I wonder if Mirio had accepted One for All from Deku after he lost his quirk. Would he have been able to handle it? Or was his quirk still lingering dormant within his body and he would have just died? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I mean, just imagine a series where Mirio inherits One for All, but he now has a timer on his life, and he tries to achieve his goal of saving 1 million people before his time ends. Oh my god, it's glorious. Someone write that down. Okay, back to the topic at hand. After learning this unsettling truth about One for All, the Vestiges inform Deku that he shouldn't pass the quirk onto anyone who already has a quirk, as it is essentially a death sentence. But due to the exponential decrease in quirkless people every year, Deku was told that in actuality, he may be One for All's final successor. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting real Deku's gonna die at the end of the series vibes from this statement. But that's not even the real icing on the cake, as Nana Shimura ends the chapter with asking Deku, are you able to kill Tomura Shigaraki for me? And this is where chapter 305 picks up. This chapter opens up directly where the last chapter left off, with Nana Shimura asking Deku if he can kill Shigaraki. Now, as Nana proceeds to get out of her chair and approach Deku, she clarifies what she means by this question. It wasn't a request, but rather it was questioning if Deku has the willpower to go through with taking Shigaraki's life. Nana goes on to say that she and the rest of the previous users saw the same pain within Shigaraki Deku saw during his last interaction with him. They saw a person who looked like he needed to be saved. However, unlike Deku, they don't fully believe saving him is possible. The first user explains that All for One has purposely handcrafted Shigaraki to be so full of contempt, hatred, and determination that even if he wanted to be, he would never allow himself to be saved. And All for One specifically made Shigaraki this way in an attempt to make the current One for All user let their guard down, giving All for One an opportunity to take the quirk. Now, this plan also explains why All for One chose Shigaraki as his successor. When he devised this plan, All Might still had One for All, and his reaction to the revelation that Shigaraki was his master's grandson caused him to break down, lowering his guard. There's even a scene where Gran Torino tells All Might that he has stopped viewing Shigaraki as a villain, and that's dangerous. God damn, that plan would have been perfect if it weren't for those meddling kids. After this, the fifth user, Daijiro Banjo, and the sixth user go on to explain that All for One attempted to steal One for All from both of them, but failed both times. Banjo then goes on to explain that the reason he failed was because of their iron will and undying determination to never give up, as One for All is a quirk that can only be transferred if the user allows it. Banjo continues saying that because of this, for the quirk to stay safe, they can't allow it to fall into the possession of a person who doesn't have this level of willpower. Now, there is something I want to point out in this scene. When Banjo is saying all of this, he says the line, "Ours is a power that is all too valuable to be risked for just one lowly person." Now, this is really interesting, as it actually goes against the very reason All Might chose Midoriya as his successor. When Bakugo was being smothered by the sludge villain, the heroes didn't run in because they saw it as too dangerous. They weren't willing to risk their life and their power for one lowly person. But Midoriya was. Since the very start of the series, it's been in Midoriya's very essence to risk everything, even if it's just to help one person. So for one of the previous users to casually say that they can't allow him to do that anymore is really fascinating, as it shows that Midoriya is, and always has been, a special kind of hero. But anyway, the first user chimes in saying that One For All was specifically created and cultivated for the sole purpose of eradicating All For One. He mentions how All Might is a prime example of this, as he took down the villain. However, somehow All For One keeps coming back, and now he is planning on using Shigaraki to get Midoriya to lower his guard and finally take One For All. After this, Nana Shimura approaches Deku once more and tells him that she can't help but feel cowardly trusting her will and her responsibility upon him like this. She mentions she knows that Shigaraki is her grandson and that he became the person he is today as a result of her abandoning her son to fight All For One. However, she then goes on to say, "But if my grandson, nay, if that thing reaches its potential, no one will be able to stop what comes next." She then tells Deku that if Shigaraki reaches his full potential, he will become the manifestation of pure evil. But the real kicker of it all is when Nana mentions how there are some people out there who, no matter how much they look like they want to be saved, they just can't be. And then she asks Deku the weighted question, if Shigaraki is one of those people, does he have what it takes to stop him no matter the costs? Now there is a lot to break down from this part. Firstly, we have Nana Shimura calling Shigaraki that thing. It's an interesting detail that really exaggerates just how far Shigaraki has fallen into the darkness, and what makes it more impactful is the fact that this is his own grandmother, a person who loves her family dearly. We can see from Nana's face while she was explaining the situation to Deku that just talking about her family's suffering hurts her deeply. So, for her to go out of her way to call her grandson that thing really puts in perspective just how much she believes he can't be saved. There is also the ongoing theme of not being able to help everyone. It's always been a theme throughout the series that heroes aren't always able to save everybody, but we have never really seen this concept take form up until recently. So it's great to see that the idea of Deku not being able to save someone for once has finally been brought up. But as Deku is asked whether or not he is capable of killing Shigaraki, he responds by saying that when All For One told Shigaraki to remember his aspirations while they were inside One For All, Deku could see deep inside Shigaraki's mind. And what he saw was a crying child. Deku continues saying he has fought many people in his life who were so set in their ways that the only way to stop them was to fight. But if he had the opportunity to understand their motivations and pinpoint why they became villains, their fights may have ended differently. I just want to point out, as he says this line, it shows a shot of Gentle and Labrava, really showing us why Deku saw them as his toughest opponents. Deku then goes on to say that while Shigaraki has hurt and killed a lot of people, One For All is a power made to save, not kill. And All Might was the person that taught him that. But it wasn't just because of All Might that the quirk could be used to save people, but because of the efforts of all of the previous users who helped the quirk grow. Hearing all of this, All Might's vestige begins to react, and it actually starts to tear up as Deku says that while One For All was originally created to destroy All For One, its purpose has changed. And while there is a possibility that Shigaraki will have have to be killed, Deku wants to try and save the crying child. Now, Deku's grandiose speech is accompanied by this amazing image here of a young Deku walking over to a crying child Shigaraki. I love this image because it shows not only that deep down our main hero and antagonist are still just kids, but even with everything that has and will happen, Deku will always be that small quirkless boy who just wants to help. It's enough to make a grown man cry. But it does go against the point I made earlier about Deku finally being confronted about the idea of not being able to save someone, which kinda sucks, but whether or not Deku will turn the tables and actually save Shigaraki is up for debate. So just putting the idea out there that it can't be done is a great start. And after this speech, the first user stands up, smiles, and tells Deku that he is incredibly glad that he was the one to inherit One for All, and that the users will be right by his side through it all. Nana Shimura then apologizes to Deku for testing him, and as she tells Deku to say hi to Gran Torino for her when he wakes up, her eyes flood with tears as she thinks to herself that her and Gran Torino made the wrong choice abandoning her family all those years ago. But they can find solace in knowing that the current successor will never give up. I don't know why, but it hurts seeing Nana Shimura like this. She was just doing her best. It's not her fault Shigaraki turned out the way he did. Poor Nana. And finally, the chapter comes to an end with the first user turning to the second and third user saying, how about you guys chime in now and help us out so that Deku will know what to expect from your quirks. Finally, we get to see what is up with these two mysterious figures. Are they villains? Is one Bakugo from the future? Or are they just shy as all hell? We will hopefully find out next time, as with this, chapter 305 comes to a close. Overall, it was a very interesting chapter. I loved the tension of Nana Shimura trusting the idea upon Deku that he can't save her grandson no matter how hard he tries. And also, the shot of Kid Deku walking over to Kid Shigaraki was, right in the fields. But I can't say I was fully satisfied with Deku's response. I really want to see Deku's reaction to not being able to save someone for once. But from this, I get the idea that he is almost certainly going to save Shigaraki. God, I'm so conflicted. A part of me loves Deku's determination and ability to save everyone, but another part wants to see him fail for the drama. But who knows what's going to happen next? Maybe the series will end with Deku giving One for All to Shigaraki, allowing him to communicate with the previous users, who will then defeat All for One inside of him. Could have a cool One for All smash with all of the users involved. But let me know what you think of this chapter. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and comment what you think is going to happen next. For more My Hero content, subscribe to the Lunchtime crew. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Plus Ultra!